Good morning, everyone. This is John with RFK Refugees. This is your Monday episode of the show. So I am releasing to you the Patreon episode we recorded last Friday with Esme Morgan of the Washington Spirit. I hope you'll enjoy it. I also wanted to apologize for 2 weeks ago when I heard a lot of complaints about me breathing and drinking on microphone. I am mortified and apologize. I had my gain turned up all the way to 11. And as a result, you could hear me thinking. So never again. I'll never let it happen again. It was horrible for me to listen to too. So no more comments needed and no more reviews needed of the show. It'll never happen again. Anyway, I know that DC United played last week. I know that they are now out of Leagues Cup. We're taking a break this week. We're hoping to get back to regular schedule when both Spirit and DC United return to league play. Which is very soon. So enjoy this episode from Friday. If you'd like to get these other episodes on the day they come out through our Patreon, I recommend you do that at patreon.com/RFKRefugees. And especially, I recommend you do that on your computer because we just found out today that Apple will begin to take a 30% cut of any subscriptions made through the app. So if you would rather us have your money than Apple, which, I think that'd be good, do it on your computer instead of on your phone. Sorry for the annoyance. I hope they change it, but they probably won't. Anyway, enjoy the show, and we'll be back to you next week, and potentially may have a Patreon show this week. So enjoy the show. Vamos. Welcome in to your Friday edition of RFK Refugees Podcast. I have with me a guest I've been trying to get on the show for a little bit. Esme Morgan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Washington Spirit's newest defender. We have a couple questions for her before she gets on the field here, I think in like a week. I'm not sure when the Kansas City game is. Feels like time is... This break has been confusing for my perception of time with this club. But... So, just want to get started. You've just come over from a club where you've come through the academy all the way to the first team. It's a club you've supported your entire life and still do, I'm sure, and always will. What are the big things you take away from that sort of big chunk of your life that was playing for Man City?
I think I learned a lot. I feel very lucky to be able to say that I've played for the club that I grew up supporting. I think that's the dream of every budding young footballer who plays at the park in the shirt of their favourite team. And I had plenty of shirts growing up, and so it was really special to be able to have one of my own and eventually see other small kids having a City shirt with my name on the back, which was very surreal, but it made me feel very proud and like I'd come a long way. And I took so much from being at City. Obviously, it's an incredible environment, such a top club, both on pitch, but also in the way they handle things off the pitch. And I was very lucky to be surrounded by so many amazing players from the very start of my senior career. So I feel like it gave me a great foundation to be the player that I am today, but still got plenty of room for growth. So that's why I'm here, I suppose.
I heard on your interview with Hey Spirits and some other places, and you say that you believe and have been told that you can be one of the best center backs in the world. And I love to hear that level of confidence and that level of ambition. And I think you have quite a few Washington Spirit teammates that are similarly very confident in sort of their place and ability, and that's awesome. What are the things, you talked about sort of your growth in your time at Man City, but also your need to develop and grow in some other ways too. What are the things that you're looking at now at this point in your career? You've made this big jump. You're playing in another country. What are you most looking for to grow in your game to get where you want to be?
I think it's challenging myself regularly. I've never really had a run of playing regular games at centre-back, and so I'm hoping that I can get that here and just really learn week to week from playing against world-class forwards. In training, the level's really high, and I'm getting challenged every day by all of the girls here. And a lot of it's just learning to be a little bit more ruthless defensively, I think, on the ball. a lot of people consider me quite a graceful player, and I play nice passes. So then it's switching the mindset of when I've got the ball and I'm looking to break lines and be progressive, and then carrying that ruthless attitude into the defensive side of the game as well, which I think is needed. Having watched a lot of the NWSL recently, there's such dynamic forwards in the game, and so it's going to take a lot of focused and good aggressive defending to stop them.
This is what I was going to ask. I know you've been watching some Spirit games this season, and I'm sure watching sort of the forwards that you're going to have to go against. And this year, I would say that even more so than years past, you have a lot of really physically talented, quick, but also strong forwards that you're going to have to encounter. So that physicality, is definitely a club you want to have in your bag for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The fans who watch this team week in and out, and it's also maybe some podcasters that kind of do the same, identified center back as one of the big areas of strengthening this club, might want to do before they're targeting a championship this year. Happy to meet the new strength. That's great that you're here. For people who are maybe unfamiliar with your game, and you kind of alluded to this with the passing and breaking lines ability, but for folks that haven't seen you at Man City or maybe haven't seen you play for the national team, what do you think you do well at center back, your preferred position? And are there any players that you've watched over the years that you try to model your game after?
Yeah, I think being at City, I've been very lucky over recent years to watch players like John Stones, who is incredible on the ball. Aymeric Laporte was another one, and they're just so composed in possession. And I think that's one of my strengths, being really comfortable on the ball. And I think I'm always a player who's looking to be progressive and try and move the team forward. And I think I read the game quite well, so I like to support other players and communicate and try and sort of set the tone of attacks. So I'd say that's probably my major strength, having been brought through a system where we love having the ball, and that is City's DNA, keeping possession but always looking to be progressive with it. And so I'm excited to be able to bring that here and try and implement those things into the style of play that Jonah wants us to play. And I think my best attributes are going to suit that.
I was just going to say, it sounds like if you took everything that Jonah said at the press conference and everything that you've seen at Barcelona and everything he says he wants the Spirit to do, all of your strengths it's like the Venn diagram is a circle on that one. You guys, it's like a match made. So it's good recruiting on our part, and great that you're here. I think that's going to really amplify what this team's trying to do.
Thank you. I hope so.
You spoke too about your desire to stick in the 11, but also stick in one position week in, week out, so that you can sort of turbocharge your growth. I know that you were versatile at City, and there have been conversations here that like maybe that's something that may have to happen occasionally, just because, I think particularly in this season, players have had to be very fluid due to injuries or lack of depth at wingback. Sometimes has been the case. How are you hoping to balance sort of your desire for consistency with the fluid nature of the lineups and the Spirit? Jonah always talks about every player should, not every player, but you want to be able to play multiple positions. It's not just like, this is your one job, this is the one area you play on the field, this is the only thing you do. So how do you hope to balance sort of what you need personally and maybe what the team aspect is looking for this year?
Yeah, I think versatility is such a great attribute to have, and I probably would have played maybe a quarter of the minutes I did at City had I not been able to move anywhere across the back line and even sometimes into midfield. And I'm not at all precious about only playing one position, because I know that wherever the team needs me to fill in, whether it be because of injury or just a tactical change within the game, I need to be able to adapt to that. And I'm always just happy to be on the pitch wherever it is. And I know that I've said that I want to get consistent minutes at centre-back, and I know that I just have to be training at a high level every single week. And obviously Jonah then decides where he feels players are going to slot in best to be able to take advantage of weaknesses in the opposition or just how they set up. So however he sees that, I'm going to be trying to put myself in a position to be selected wherever it is, and I'll make the most of whatever opportunities I do get wherever it is on the pitch.
I was going to ask you if versatility is kind of a curse, and then you immediately said it was a blessing. So that I'm going to have to throw that out, because even in your center back sort of group, there's Tara was a number 9 for her much of her career. And I think probably still wanted to be. She's now, gone through the stages of grief where she's processed it and she's there. But it is, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, she loves a little dribble up the pitch, though. And in quite a few of the games I've watched, she's found herself up there. And I think, go for it, T. Like, going back to your roots as a striker, I'd love to see her score a goal from that position.
If she has the ball at the top of the 18 due to any sort of, she's a good bet to shoot. Like if you're watching the press box, it's like you're likely going to do that. What was most attractive to you about the Spirit Project in particular, as you were looking, reading some of the conversations around the end of your time at City? It was, I'm looking for a chance to grow and challenge myself and really get that time that you were looking for. But what about the Spirit Project? You said this is going to be the way that I'm going to accomplish those things that I'm trying to do for myself.
I think just the desire to be the best in every element. Michelle Kang's spoken about wanting to really dedicate resources to putting female athletes in the best position they can be to perform well. And that's something that really drew my attention. I think the staff group that they've put together here is incredible. They've got world leaders in every single part of the staff. And I think that's really a big draw for me as a player, knowing that I'm going to have the very best input from a strength and conditioning perspective, from a management of the menstrual cycle perspective, and then on pitch from a coaching perspective. I think having all of those elements feeding into you with the very best knowledge is only going to make you a better player. And so I'm planning to kind of just be a sponge and try and absorb as much as everyone can give me. But I think it's just that desire to have the very best people in every single spot was a big draw for me, because I want to win things, and that's going to give us the very best chance.
You mentioned the size of the squad, the staff sort of around the club. I was talking to Andy a couple weeks ago, and she's like, it used to be when I started here, there was like 5 people and they all did 15 jobs. And now when we have a business meeting, I'm like, I have not seen this person at all. There are just so many people. So that's got to be, to your point about sort of the seriousness of the club. It's got, when you come into that and you see that level of professionalism and that level of investment, it's got to make you feel like you've made the right choice as you're getting to know people. You feel like, all right, this was not just an appearance thing on the outside. This is actually how the club works and runs. Yeah,
definitely. I think, I'm still getting introduced to new people, but everyone that I've met and had interactions with so far is just such an expert in their field. And it's funny, Andy, saying that, because now it's like there's so many staff and everyone's just got a few specific roles, and it means that they can do it brilliantly with such attention to detail. Whereas maybe in years gone by, everyone was kind of spread thin and having to take care of too many things, whereas now everyone can just take care of a few specific things, and it means it's done really, really well. And I think that sets you up for success when people can just focus on absolutely maximizing their role.
You had an opportunity, correct me if I'm wrong, you got an opportunity to do some media work with Sky Sports in the summer. How many years ago was that? Was that
2 years ago? It was around the 2022 Women's Euros.
How did you enjoy that? You did great. All the clips I've seen of you look supremely comfortable doing that. And we've all seen that there's not a particular guarantee from being good on the field to being good on the microphone extemporaneously off the top of your head. So did you enjoy that? Is that something you want to do more after your career's over? Is that sort of or was it just a fun thing that came upon and now you're going to do something different?
Yeah, I loved it. That was probably my first experience of doing media work. Might have done little bits here and there, just commercial stuff with the club, but working with Sky was so cool, just seeing how everything operates. And I do find it comes quite naturally, because to me it's just talking about football, which we do all the time anyway. But I've been really lucky to have lots of opportunities to do some radio work for BBC Radio Manchester, and then City have their own internal TV channel, I suppose, that do shows on a match day. So I've done a little bit of punditry with that too, and I really, really enjoy it. So it probably is something that I'd like to dip my toe in the pond for a bit more later down the line. But for now, obviously, it's just, I call it my little side hustle that I do every now and again.
You get to experience now being an East Coaster you get to experience the very awesome window, the time window that is EPL and all the European soccer that happens like 7 a.m. to 9. I'm an early riser, so that was always I was like, this is like perfect. I don't have to wait around. It's not going to interrupt with the rest of my day. I can do this and go out. So it's going to be vastly different, I am assuming, for you. It's sort of instead of like a 4 o'clock or a lunchtime kickoff or even a 7 o'clock, you're like, hey, I can get to training after this. I can watch this whole game and not have to change my day around at all. So
yeah,
you're welcome. That's going to be great.
I'm going to have to figure out what channel shows what and get signed up to all the different things.
It's not so bad. I've always read and been told that it's better to be a fan of an English team in the United States than it is over there, as far as having to like buy this package and buy it. So you can't actually get this package. You can't get that one. So here you can pretty much watch anything. If you're willing to pay, there's really just no limit to the amount of soccer you watch. So I guess that's a good thing being over here. Right. That's the benefit. You've come over now during a international club tournament. This is the first time I've done this and haven't gotten a chance to feature yet, obviously. Do you feel like this time of just training has been good in terms of getting your feet wet and developing those relationships and chemistry, or have you been going insane trying to get on the field as soon as possible and watching these matches and just being like, when can I go? It's the 18th, right? Is that the official?
Yeah, against Arsenal. Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, to be honest, because I think it's just your nature as a competitive footballer to want to be on the pitch if there's a match going on. So I have kind of had twitchy feet when I've been watching the games, sort of kicking every ball with the girls from the stands. But there's also the rational part of my brain that's like, actually, no, it's been really good for me to be able to settle in and kind of ease in after a week where I didn't really train because I was traveling and getting my visa and having all sorts of appointments and tests and things when I arrived. So being able to ease back into training and build up slowly, ready to play match minutes, has been really helpful. And also just to get to know the girls on and off the pitch. It's been nice to go on the away trips without sort of the mental strain of having to prepare for a match. I've just been able to really relax and focus on training and just getting to know everyone and spending time with all of the team, which has been really, really nice. And I feel like I've made such good bonds with so many people already. So yeah, I feel really at home, and everyone was just so welcoming, making me feel part of the family already. So it's been lovely.
That's great. Well, one last question, Esme. I appreciate you taking the time here. What are you most looking forward to about getting what I think is your first chance to live in a different country full time? Is there like a rogue time where you've spent time off in another country, or is this just your first chance?
Yeah, no, only time spent abroad for holidays or England camps and things like that. So no,
this is the extended stay
period.
You mentioned saw in one of your interviews how good of a driver you are. Like that was one of the things you're very excited about, and I'm wondering if you feel the same confidence right away driving on the other side of the road now.
I was a little bit nervous.
I bet.
The first time, but Aubrey took me for a little 10-minute driving lesson from the training ground. So my car got dropped off there, and then we just went a little bit around the area. So she was pointing out signs and some slightly different rules to me that wouldn't be the same at home. But I've been driving for maybe 4 or 5 days now, and I'm still here to tell the tale. So
there you go.
It's going well so far.
What else are you looking forward to about sort of just getting a chance to immerse yourself in? I mean, the cultures are not vastly different, but they're different. There's certainly things you got to adjust to. And what are you most excited about?
I think just exploring. That's one of my favorite things to do, is finding new places and seeing them and feeling the atmosphere and stuff. I've not yet had the chance to go into DC, but we've got a little friendly game this weekend, and then we've got a few days off. So I've recruited a few of the girls to be my tour guides and come with me into the city so I can see some of the sights. But everyone keeps saying there's so much nice rural space around this area too. Yep. Is it Great Falls?
That's what I was just going to recommend to you. So
yeah, I'm going to go there in the few days off as well. So I'm sure everyone will see it on social media if I get some nice pictures of these places. But that's it, just exploring, finding some new favourite spots to go to, I think.
That is definitely the place to go. I was just looking. The other thing I was going to say is that I think everyone has told you, and you probably know just how big this country is as far as like travel and that goes. I was just looking at the rest of your schedule. You've got 2 trips to California just in the next 3 months. So they saved all of the really long travel till you got here. Looks other than Utah and Portland.
I'm excited though, because apparently those places have like their crowds are amazing at the stadiums, and it's really good atmosphere. So I feel like they've saved the best trips, the best away trips for me. But it's funny because when we went to Philly, everyone was like, I've never been to Delaware before, and I'd just shown up and I was going to Delaware.
Lucky
and
you.
Then said to me the other day, she was like, do you ever just think, I can't believe I'm in Virginia? And I was like, no, what are you on about? Because to me, like, the different states don't mean that much.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, I'm in America. Whereas she said she's from California, and to Californians, there's quite a few of the girls who come from California. The world basically revolves around California, from what I can gather, and they don't think anything exists outside it. No. So she was like, every day I think, bro, I'm in Virginia. And I was like, I don't know what you mean, but it's just funny hearing all their stories about different places.
They probably talk about the weather a lot. California people are notorious for, like, they have a microclimate, like a Mediterranean microclimate that's like a variance of like 15 degrees. And then they get over here on the East Coast. Now you're experiencing it. You jumped right into it. Like, this is not the time to be in the DC area, and welcome. I've been
enjoying the sun, but the humidity is taking a little bit of adaptation. Yeah. And I mean, we've currently got Manchester rain today, so
you brought it with you.
Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry, everyone.
It's all right. Esme, thank you so much for your time. I always ask where people can find you if they're not. I assume they're already following you on social media, but where can they find you on Instagram or anywhere else you are?
I'm on Instagram. My username is esme.morgan. TikTok, I haven't been posting enough since I got here, but I've got a couple TikToks on the way. So I think I am Esme Morgan _on there, and then X_ Esme Morgan. So a bit of variety in my usernames, just to be difficult.
A lot of the folks pick their names like when they were in college. Some of the players pick their names when they're in college, and I think they would all love to change them now, but now it's too late. Like there's like some inside joke or like a number, and so yeah, you did good. It's all in and around your name, so people will find it.
Close enough.
Esme, thank you so much for joining us, and for everybody else, we'll be back, I think, next week for a live show. If not, because there's no games that that we can cover that are public, we may be taking a week off. But if not, thank you all for listening here on this Friday episode, and we'll see you next week. Vamos. Thank you for listening to RFK Refugees Podcast. Make sure you rate and review the show wherever you download podcasts. If you want to support the show, consider joining our Patreon or subscribing to our channel on Twitch. Lastly, make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Twitch, Goals.tv, Friendster, MySpace, and Tumblr. Some of those are even real. Vamos.